Today we're going to be drawing a polar bear, and we're just looking at different shapes and how they fit together to create this. So with a big piece of paper, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to come in maybe a few fingers here, and I'm going to come all the way up so I hit about middle of the paper, and I'm going to swing around and come all the way back down. So it's like a giant upside down U. So again, starting a couple fingers over, come up, come about halfway, and bring it back down. Next, we're gonna add our polar bear ears, and those are just upside down U's with another upside down U. So then we need a second ear. We're going to make another upside down U on his left side, and then another upside down U inside that U. So you should have 2 ears. Okay. Next, we need to draw his eyes, and we're just going to make 2 circles. Sometimes you can put 2 dots down to figure out where you want it and then put the circles around those 2 dots. That's helpful. So go ahead and do those 2 circles. And about the same size is good. Okay, next we need to make his snout or muzzle. So I'm going to make a big O here to distinguish where his mouth and nose goes. So there's a bigger, use your full arm and make a big circle right there. Now we're going to make another oval type of circle, but we're going to go in this direction. So you go this way. And from that, I'm going to find the center here and make a J. And then I can make another line, which is just like a backwards J. And there's our polar bear for now. Okay. So instead of having our polar bear floating in this white snowstorm, white with white, we want to put him someplace. So we're going to put him in the Arctic. And what I first want to do is draw like a line to show what's behind him. So here's a line that comes from here. I skip over and I draw another line across. Now I've decided he has big mountain peaks with snow-covered mountains behind him. So I'm going to make a sharper U behind him somewhere. Then from here I can make another U, upside down U, sorry. And then you can even make another peak upside down U somewhere back there between those 2 U's. And you can have one that wants to come off the page. So again, however you want these, but you want them big and bold. They can have a little peak or they can be more round, it's up to you. And if we want them a little more snow-capped, we can draw some zigzag lines, just wide. And I would vary it so it doesn't look like a pattern, but big and small, however you want. So it looks like different parts of snow is covering the top of the mountain. And then over here it can just kind of go off the page if you have a mountain on your side there. So you can fit those in. Now the last thing you can do, so this is the sky. Here's your sky, here's your snow-capped mountains. And behind them, we're gonna put them on the ice because they're pretty good at walking on the ice. But I think I wanna make some little icebergs. So I'm gonna make just like a little shape there. You can have one that's all the way behind them. Maybe it starts over here and then ends over here. So those could just be left like ice. Okay, so you got all this down. The next thing you want to do is take your oil pastel. You're going to take black and you're going to line your polar bear. Just go over the lines you created. Try not to have your hand smudge. Keep your hand up. And for the eyes, you can put the little highlight in if you want. Give them some cute little eyes. So I made a circle. So again, I can make a circle and then another little circle. I'll leave it up to you however you want to do his eyes. But this gives him a little highlight on his eyes. And then again, just finish going over your lines. If you need to correct any of your lines, you can. You can erase. And there's my polar bear. Okay, second step is we're gonna go over the lines on the background. So this is the foreground with our polar bear, and the background would be the mountains. So I'm gonna take this purple oil pastel and line these. Just like so. So all this gets lined in this fun purple. All right, and then the water, I'm gonna line this in blue. So here's a blue oil pastel. My icebergs. Give that some different lines. So there we go. You can color in his nose. I forgot to do that if you want. You can leave a little highlight on that too. If you want to. I left a little smidge of light white just so it looks like a highlight. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is paint this in, and so for my mountains, I'm gonna give them all a little bit of a different color. So using your tempera cakes, you can add some water to the different tempera cakes to get started. So I think I want one of my mountains to be kind of pinky. I'm gonna leave the snow on the top. I want to make sure I'm painting around my polar bear. And adding more water if I need it to spread more smoothly. Sometimes your brushes are so dry that the paint doesn't want to spread. So if it's nice and wet, there's my pink mountain. Then, and pick another color if I want. Have another fun mountain over here. If you've ever been on the mountains and they're covered in snow or rocks and the sunset casts a shadow on the mountains. I don't know if you've ever seen that for the Grand Canyon. When at sunset the canyon becomes all these different colors. That's kind of what we're going for here. So each one can be a little bit of a different color. Maybe even this purple. he's got a fun background. Now for the water around him, you could decide that this is ice and leave it white, or you can decide this is ice pieces and leave it white. So what I think I'm gonna do is leave all this ice and paint these in. And these will look like those little holes you get in the ice when you're ice fishing. Like so. There we go. So there's a polar bear, and there's some little ice holes coming through. And the last thing we can do, if we want, is clean our brush really well. And I would have a lot of water on your brush, and you can just give it a pretty sky if you want. Let's go around my mountains. And just make a light blue sky around them. So there, it's a pretty fun little polar bear.